Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Charlie. On today's episode, I'm going to be showing you how to make my delicious oven roasted brisket stuffed with garlic. That's right. Now, we first start off by taking a brisket, we clean it, we season it, and we stuff it with garlic, and then we marinate it overnight. The next day, we sear the brisket in a hot cast iron skillet, wrap it with aluminum foil, place it into a baking pan, and we put it in the oven and we slow bake it until the brisket is tender, juicy. We can easily shred it. This recipe makes a 3½ pounds of brisket. Really depends on the size. It's flavorful, full of garlic flavor, and absolutely delicious. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, here's all what you'll need to make your oven roasted brisket stuffed with garlic. Let's get started with our ingredients. You'll need 3½ or 4 pounds of brisket, and along with that, you will need 1 pound of garlic, vegetable or canola oil, and for your seasonings, you will need some salt, black pepper, Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning. Now, if you don't have this, you can use the Zatarain's Creole seasoning or the Slap Your Mama Cajun seasoning. You will also need some Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, granulated onion, and some mesquite liquid smoke. And for your tools, you'll need some aluminum foil, a garlic press, and to sear your brisket, you'll need a 10-inch round cast iron skillet. And I forgot to mention that you're going to need a meat thermometer as well. And to bake your brisket, you will need a regular standard 9 by 13 inch metal pan or roasting pan. And there we have it. Alright, let's get straight to it. Here I have 8 cloves of garlic. I cut them in half. I'm going to take a garlic press and press the garlic. And there we go. Okay, I've placed my pressed garlic into the small bowl. Let's add some seasoning. Add 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper, 1/8 of a teaspoon of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, and 1/4 teaspoon of granulated onion. Give this a quick stir. You can also add about 2 teaspoons of the mesquite liquid smoke in here if you like, okay? Let's get started with our brisket. So I placed it in the strainer. I'm going to rinse the brisket off with cold water. I do this step as a precaution to rinse off any blood or particles that might be on the brisket. Okay, I placed my brisket onto this chopping board. I'm going to take some napkins and I'm going to pat the brisket dry. I'm going to turn the brisket on its side. I'm going to take a serrated knife and I'm going to poke 8 holes into the side of the brisket. Make sure you stick your finger in there to make sure that that the hole is big enough. Okay, here we have our pressed garlic. And we're going to carefully add a small amount of the pressed garlic into each hole. You can also use your fingers and just push the garlic into the side of the brisket. And if you have any pressed garlic left over, you could just take it and place it on the brisket, and from there just rub it all around the brisket. Okay, now let's add some seasoning onto the brisket. Sprinkle a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, 1 1/2 teaspoons of Tony Chachere's Creole seasoning, 1 1/2 teaspoons of Chef Paul Prudhomme's Poetry Magic, and 1 1/2 teaspoons of granulated onion. Take your hands and rub all of the seasonings all around the brisket. Next, I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of the mesquite liquid smoke into the palm of my hand. And from there, I'm going to carefully rub the mesquite liquid smoke onto all sides of the brisket. And of course, if you don't have enough, I'm going to add 2 additional teaspoons of the mesquite liquid smoke into the palm of my hand. And I'm going to continue to rub that all around the brisket. Okay, I've turned the brisket back onto its side again. Here I have a funnel here, and I'm going to place the funnel into each hole that we've cut into the side of the brisket, and we're going to add about 1/8 to 1/4 teaspoon of the mesquite liquid smoke into each hole. And the rest, of course, you could just rub it all around the brisket. Okay, here I have a large plastic bag. I'm going to place the brisket into the bag. Tie that up. I'm going to cut some of the bag off with kitchen scissors. And from there, I'm going to place it into this large Tupperware. Place this into your refrigerator and let this marinate overnight. The next day. Okay, I let my brisket marinate overnight. I'm going to remove it out of the plastic bag and place it onto this flexible chopping board. Next, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of vegetable or canola oil into the palm of my hand, and I'm going to rub the oil all around the brisket. Preheat your fire to medium-high heat. Okay, let's get started with searing our brisket. So in this 10-inch round cast iron skillet, I let it get hot for about 1 to 2 minutes. Add the brisket into the skillet. Let this sear for 3 minutes on each side. Okay, our brisket is nice and seared on all sides, and look at how beautiful that looks. Ooh-wee. Turn your fire off. I'm going to preheat my oven to 225 degrees. Okay, here I have a 19 to 20 inch long sheet of aluminum foil. I'm going to take my brisket and place it onto the sheet of aluminum foil. I'm going to push the brisket more to one side, and from there I'm going to carefully wrap the brisket with the aluminum foil. This is going to seal in all the flavors and all the juices of the brisket as it slow cooks in the oven. Oh yeah. And from there we're going to place it into our standard 9 by 13 inch baking pan. Now it is ready to be baked. Place this into a preheated 225 degree oven on the middle rack. Now I just want to let you all know that baking times vary depending on the size of the brisket, so it can take more or less time. And you also want to make sure you have a thermometer with you, because you want to make sure that the brisket has an internal temperature of 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Now the good thing about this is that you don't have to baste the brisket or anything like that. You just put it in the oven, keep it in there, let it slow cook, and that's it. Bake the brisket for 8 hours. Alright, it's been about 8 hours now. Let's remove the brisket out of the oven. unwrap the brisket. Oh wow, that turned out lovely. As you can see, all the juices and everything remained within the aluminum foil. So that looks good. I've inserted a meat thermometer into the brisket, and the internal temperature should be 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Now I did go just a little bit past that, but that's alright. Let the brisket cool for about 30 minutes before serving. Now as for those pan juices, the possibilities are endless here. You can take the pan juices, make a roux, and you can make a wonderful brisket gravy. Or you can just use this as a dip. You could just pour it into a small bowl or whatever. Take some of your brisket and dip it in there and serve it. And you can also take the brisket, shred it up really nice, add it into a bowl, and then from there you can pour that right on in there as well. And that's basically it. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Oven roasted brisket stuffed with garlic, made by a New Orleans native. You can check out this recipe along with all of my other recipes. Go to www.charliethecookandrews.com. I'm also on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter under the name Charlie the Cook Andrews. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and try this. I have a little of the liquid that the brisket released during the baking process. But I'm going to just try it. Just see, it shreds pretty easily. Oh yeah. I take a little bit of it, put it in that little bit of the pan juices, and eat it. Yeah. Yes, yes, yeah. Oh my goodness, y'all. This reminds me so much of the roast that I make for the holidays. Like I stuff my roast with garlic and put it in the slow cooker. This is like that, but it's like 10 times better. It is so delicious. It has a wonderful garlic flavor. It's not overpowering with garlic. It's just the right amount of garlic flavor. And it's tender, juicy, and it has just the right amount of seasoning to it. I mean, y'all, absolutely delicious. So, give the recipe a try. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, have a good one. Peace.